Hi, I'm Brent Farley, the managing member of Farley Law. We do work for banks and financial institutions, especially in developing new products and services. Today, I want to talk to you about payment services. Now, in the past, banks have done a pretty good job of jumping on opportunities in the payment space to make payments easier, uh, to make payments more secure, to make payments faster. In the past, maybe 20 years ago, I think some opportunities have been missed. But coming up in the next 5 to 10 years, I think there will be a lot more opportunities, great opportunities to jump in the payment space, to remove friction in the payments process, make payments more secure, make payments faster. So to illustrate this, one of the ways I think that you identify opportunities in the payment space is you look for friction, lack of security, and pain points in the payment process. To illustrate this, I want to go back in history and look at a few examples. We'll start really simple and we'll go to a little bit more complicated, more modern examples. So the first one is about 1,000 years old, and that's checks. I don't know that everybody knows that checks are about 1,000 years old or more, but they are. What a check is payment order to a depository institution, somebody who's holding money on behalf of somebody else. It's an order by the depositor to the institution to pay somebody else. That's all a check is. It's written down on a piece of paper. You hand it to somebody. Somebody takes that to the bank. The bank, if it thinks it's valid, will pay it. And that's been around for a really, really long time. Now, think about the friction and the pain that removes. Back at that point in time, if you wanted to pay somebody, you would have to take physical currency and deliver it to somewhere else. And that might mean you take a purse, you might take a stack of bills, you might take coin or gold or bullion, and you hand it to the employee or a servant, and they walk it over, or they drive it over in a carriage, or they ride it on a horse over to where it's delivered. You think about all the problems with that. I mean, there's a delay. It's going to take time to deliver it. There's a chance it's going to get robbed. There's a chance your employee or your servant's going to take off with the funds. There's a chance the funds are going to show up in the other place, and the payee is going to say, "Oh, you didn't pay me enough." There's all kinds of issues with that. But if you introduce a paper check as an order to a depository institution, you also have a paper record. You don't have to transport currency physically. If the other person is also a depositor at the bank, no money really has to change hands. It's just a ledger entry. It solved a lot of problems that were present at that point in time. They fast forward, 800 years or so, and you get to telegrams and wires. So let's go to the U.S. for that. So in the United States, at one point in time, if you wanted to go to California from the eastern seaboard, you had to jump on a train and take forever. You had to go on a stagecoach, or you had to ride a horse, or a lot of people walked when they were migrating west. So it take a lot of time if you wanted to take currency and you want to drive it over across the U.S. and deliver it in California, or you want to deliver it in Ohio, for that matter, from say Massachusetts. So one of the answers to that was you take telegram, and banks and payment services would send telegram wires to each other with payment orders. Instead of written check, it'd be verbal or it'd be a telegram. And institutions would handle the settlement, and that would really speed up the money transmission process, make it easier, make it more secure in a lot of ways, less chance of being robbed by somebody on the way. And it's great improvement on the payment cycle. Let's fast forward something a little bit more modern, something still everybody's really familiar with. So if you are a retailer and you want to be paid quickly, one of the easiest way to do that is to offer credit card payments. And that's done with a vehicle called merchant services, provided by banks and provided by other third parties. So merchant services is where the bank will hand a terminal, and will hand software, will hand access to payment processing networks to a retailer or merchant, so the merchant can accept a credit card payment. And then the bank helps out in the settlement process and earns a small fee. And that's gone a long ways to opening up additional capital for the retailer, because the credit card is attached to debt, right? So the consumer can spend more when they're purchasing on a credit card. It makes payment faster and easier to handle than physical currency. I think now you can find retailers who won't take cash. Well, You can ask whether or not that's legal, and that's another question. Um, but it's removed a lot of pain in the payment process in a lot of ways, especially the move to e-commerce. Merchant services payments, credit card processing, debit card processing has become a critical part of the e-commerce payments industry, and it's necessary for e-commerce because you can't order something, then send cash, and then wait and wait and wait and wait, and then have something delivered after the cash is received. So banks have done a great job in jumping into those spaces, particularly merchant services. There's a lot of roles that banks play. They're behind the scenes, on the front lines, um, in the background with custodial accounts and the settlement processing. Uh, so taking a look at those kind of the common themes are, if you look for real pain points in the payment process, delay, security problems, you get robbed somehow, where the employee is going to steal the funds. Uh, you look for uncertainty. Where's the record of the payment? And so anytime I think where you're looking at an industry or a payments process or settlement process, and you can see, well, there's a record keeping problem here. There's a problem with the speed of the payments. There's a problem with security. I think there's an opportunity there to jump into the payments process and offer something new, or maybe just rearrange the way the services are provided or recorded. And sometimes it can be simple, sometimes it can require a lot of development software, but I think there are a lot of opportunities coming up. So here's some of those that I see developing, that are well developed and are developing. So start with, we got embedded e-commerce payments, e-commerce backends, and CRM and embedded payments. And so by this, I mean, if you take the merchant services process, I'm seeing a lot of vendors, they'll take a payment gateway, that's a method for accepting payment online, and they'll embed it into the back end of a website, or they'll make it easy to take the gateway and embed it into any website. And what that does is makes it easy for an e-commerce vendor to adopt merchant services and then start selling online. Stripe is a great example of this. They're doing a great job, I think, in that area. Now, I know not every bank can jump on the software development bandwagon, but there are things to do on the back end if that's not a possibility. There's custodial accounts, there's a settlement process, there's a place for deposit accounts anytime there's payment processing. And so if you can't do software development, you can offer services, depository services, and help on the back end. CRM embedded payments is something that I've seen escalate quite a lot. So what I mean by this is you'll have a customer relationship platform as a piece of software, and these pieces of software have been developed for a whole bunch of different industries. So I've seen some developed specifically for photographers, for event planners, there's some for attorneys, there's some for just about any industry that I can think of. And so what this is a software provider hands a piece of software to somebody to help them manage their customers, their invoicing, their billing, their records. And to take that the next step, if you just offer a payment gateway, then all of a sudden, instead of just taking the monthly subscription fee, you can take a small cut of the payments made to the customer. So that's become pretty widespread. I think there's some opportunity to jump into that space, either on the back end or on the front end, in developing payment gateways for these CRM providers. I think that's a key opportunity. I think that concept itself is an opportunity as well, where you take the payment services, payment gateway, and you embed it in something else, in another program, another place where payments are being accepted. I don't think that opportunity has been fully bounded. I think there's more to be done there. Also coming out soon, we have FedNow, and we also have real-time payments, which has been around for a little while. And so FedNow real-time payments are intended to be real-time, near immediate settlement payments. And so if somebody wants to send dollars to somebody else, they want to do it right away. They want it settled. They don't want to wait 2 days for the ACH process to settle. You can start doing that. You can start doing that now. You can start doing that through the Fed here pretty soon. And I think there's a lot of opportunity there to build payment services on top of FedNow or on top of the real payments network. Most of the payments right now that are electronic are processed via ACH on the ACH network and backbone. And that works really well, but it comes with some inherent delay most of the time. Most of the time, you're going to see a couple days delay in payment settlement process. That creates payment risk. That creates delay for customers. It creates questions. It creates some friction. So I think there's some opportunity in taking that process and moving from 2-day settlement to immediate settlement to possibly reduce credit risk for banks and other institutions and also for customers, to speed things up and hopefully make things more secure. I think the jury is still out on that, and that remains to be seen, but hopefully it will end up being more secure. For the last example, we talk about wrap services. I'll dive into this more next time, but by wrap services, I mean taking an existing service that the bank provides in the payment space, or any space for that matter, and wrapping additional services around it and handing it as a package to the customer to make their life easier. Now, the simplest example that I have for you is escrow. And so we know escrow services in the title industry space, where a title company will take payment, take documents, they'll make sure all the documents for a transaction are put together, all payments are received, and then they'll disperse funds according to instructions. So what that does is it removes the need for two separate parties to a transaction to really have to trust each other. Instead, they can look to a title company that's licensed, bond, and insured, and that third party can handle the payments process. There are a lot of other opportunities in that space. For example, where you have a manufacturer and a seller that's working on commissions from the manufacturer. Well, the seller wants to receive a commission. The manufacturer wants to get paid for the revenue. They both want to know delivery was made. And so if you can have a package of services that tracks order fulfillment, delivery, and sales and commissions, and then disperse the payments for somebody in that sort of scenario, I think that would make life a lot easier. Maybe another example is in the agricultural space, where a lot of farmers and grains and mass producers of crops and agricultural products are putting goods into a warehouse or into a silo in common with other people, other farmers and other producers. One of the issues there is tracking, okay, who's got how much, when is it delivered, when is it paid, and who gets paid out of revenues. So I think if you were to offer a wrap service where the bank is holding the funds coming in and dispersing them, and also tracking, what's handed over to the grain silo or to storage, and then what's delivered, I think there's some opportunity in those sorts of scenarios. Now, those are examples. I think there are other opportunities, and we'll dive into that more next time. But again, just to recap, I think coming up with the payment cycle becoming faster, with all the new software opportunities that are coming up, I think there will be a lot of opportunity to jump into the payment space, either on the front end on development, on the back end on the settlement, and payment processing side. All right, so to wrap up, anytime that you see friction or security problems, delay, record-keeping problems in the payments process, I think there's an opportunity for improvement there. I think with FedNow and real-time payments and all the new software development that's coming out, I think there's a lot of opportunity to jump into the payment space, offer new services, offer new ways of making payments faster. Hopefully you're seeing these opportunities and seeing opportunities to jump in and take advantage of these. Hopefully we'll see you next time. Next time we'll talk a little bit more about wrapping services within escrow accounts and other